I'm Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on the 4th episode of the 7th season of one of my favorite shows ever, Fear the Walking Dead. And honestly, I'm done. I'm done with looking on people's opinions on the Fear the Walking Dead subreddit. I'm just done. These people cannot be talked with, cannot be reasoned with in any way, shape, or form. The sub has devolved completely into just shitting on the show without considering any positives, and anybody who tries to be even neutral, he is downvoted. So I'm fucking done. And luckily, I've also been suspended from Reddit, so I don't even have to care about it anymore. I'm just done with Reddit in general, and I suggest you do the same, because Reddit is a shithole, in my opinion. But let's not get sidetracked. I really like this episode. I enjoyed it. It's probably my least favorite out of the 4 we've gotten so far, but it's not because it was the worst or anything. Like, it wasn't the worst made, it wasn't with the worst dialogue or with the worst concepts or anything. I liked it. It's just that it focused on the character that I didn't really care about particularly, and the episode as a whole didn't really make me interested in that character any much more than I was before. And that is because it focused on Sarah, who I don't think is a bad character. I don't think the actress is bad. It's just that there wasn't much given to her even in this episode, other than obviously looking for her brother the whole episode and everything. But as an only child, I can't exactly relate to that, so I can't really relate to her and be interested in her character that much. And I don't know, she's just not really particularly interesting to me, and this episode didn't change that. On the other hand, the episode also focused on Emilia's brother, Josiah, who we were introduced to at the cliffhanger of episode 2 it was, and we finally got to meet him more face to face and learn more about who he is. And I gotta say, he honestly stole the episode in my opinion. He was so much more interesting, and if it wasn't for him, I feel like I wouldn't have enjoyed the episode as much. Although, before we get into that, let's obviously start from the beginning and recap and review everything that happened in the episode. So, the episode opens with Sarah kinda, I don't know, waking up from a dream, apparently, as they were escaping from the nuke. The helicopter kind of started to lose control and the engine overheated and it crashed down and she got hurt. Why only she? I don't know, but anyway. Sadly, I have to bring up the Fear the Walking Dead subreddit again. Some people criticized last season, at the end of it, that the nuke, one wouldn't be able to escape from the nuke with a helicopter because the shockwave, the radiation will take it down. Well, here it is, an explanation that it did take it down, it just they managed to get away far enough from it, and they managed to survive the crash. So it's not like they don't follow reality or whatever, they maybe just take liberties with it, which is not unlike what the Walking Dead universe has been doing as a whole, so I don't understand why this specifically might bother people, like Fear the Walking Dead doing these things bothers people. I just don't understand. It feels like people are just looking for shit to criticize and be outraged by in Fear the Walking Dead and blow it out of proportion, even though the other shows do this shit as well. And because Fear the Walking Dead by nature, since its creation, has been much more experimental with things, they obviously not always manage to succeed with everything they're experimenting with, so people latch onto that fact and attack the show for it. But yeah, so she wakes up with a gash on her head, and she meets the rest of the cast, which is Althea, Daniel, Luciana, Wes, Charlie. I think that's pretty much it. There also Jacob should be there, like the rabbi, but he's not in the episode. I don't know why. As she is walking around looking for everybody though, there's a walker that shows up and she tries to kill it with a bunch of weapons that are lying around, but she's not able to. Althea shows up and shoots the walker. And again, I want to quickly sidetrack and talk a little bit about the fact that Althea, the actress for Althea, has been taken off the credits. I wonder if it's because I think she had a kid or something recently, so that's why she's been taking off the credits, because she's been on like maybe a paid leave or something. I don't know, or maybe she's just taken a more removed role for this season, like a less she's gonna get less screen time and she's gonna show up less, and it's not like she's leaving the show, because again, the subreddit for Fear the Walking Dead loves to really focus on the worst possible thing and glorify it as, yes, Fear the Walking Dead is going down and burning finally, because God forbid a show is good despite the fact that they hate it, you know? So a lot of people have acted as if Althea not being removed from the title credits means that she's gonna leave the show, which we can't know one way or the other. We can't know until we see, really. It's not really fair to judge, because she did have that baby, if I remember correctly. The actress had that baby recently, so maybe that's why she is not gonna be on the show, not because she hates it and wants to leave right now. And other people have used the fact that Alicia is also gonna be on some show on her own, so maybe she's gonna die this season as well. And maybe they have also used the fact that Coleman Domingo is gonna be doing some kind of a job that is gonna require him to work that job full time, so that means he's also gonna leave the show this season. We can't know until we see it, and the most likely one, honestly, out of these is Coleman Domingo, but even then it's not necessarily confirmed, and there's plenty of time until that, because for all those things, they don't start until next year, and by that time season 8 would be out. So realistically, these characters and these actors are not leaving the show until at least next season. At least that's my speculation. But people do love to act like the Grim Reaper and be, yes, the show is finally dying. I hate this show, so nobody else should be allowed to enjoy it. I just hate these kind of people. And it's sad that at this point it has inserted itself not only outside of the fandom as a general opinion for people who has stopped watching these shows for years, but also inside the fandom, because you have the same shit with the main show, at least with the season 10C episodes. I didn't really see that much of this kind of stuff for the first part of the season 11 episodes. But it's just so infuriating, and honestly, yeah, I'm done with Reddit because of that. I was questioning whether I wanted to stop checking out these threads, because the only thing it did for me is piss me off, and I was tired of arguing with people about it. And the fact that I got suspended from Reddit for defending myself against transphobic pieces of shit, I mean, it just kind of made the decision for me. So I'm done with Reddit, and I do suggest, for the sake of your mental health, to just leave Reddit as well if you're using it. It's not good for anybody. Use other social medias, but Reddit is just a shithole, and I think it's about time for people to realize how bad of a website Reddit is. So yeah, I got a little sidetracked. Let's get back to stuff. So everybody brings her back up to speed with what happened with the helicopter falling down and then being I'm not exactly sure what it was, like some rich guy's house, I think they said it was. We had a little moment with continuing the storyline of Daniel kind of losing his mind. I thought we were done with that shit. I don't understand why they continue to do that. I don't think that actor and that character deserves that storyline for them, but at least they're giving him something, and that's one criticism that I can agree with, that these showrunners are fucking over Daniel's character, because he was a really cool badass character back in season 3. So to see him suffer this, I mean, I feel like they're not playing to the strengths of the character. But again, I don't think that means that the showrunners or the writers or whatever need to be crucified for it, you know? Just because the writers have a different choice for a storyline doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily. You can subjectively question it, whether it's good or bad, but you can't really say whether it's good or bad just because you don't like the decision. And I personally try to not judge story choices, at least until I see where they go, and I might question them and think about them, but I will not judge them. Like, I'm not gonna say it's bad just because I don't like it or I disagree with it, you know? So yeah, there's that. And afterwards, Sarah decides that she's gonna be looking for her brother Wendell, because obviously he wasn't with them. I think last we know about him, he's either at the hospital that June was taking care of, or maybe at Lawton. It's really not clear where he would be. And the show didn't even really give us like a location where we last saw him last season, because last season we saw him once for one scene, and that was, I believe it was episode 6? Yeah, I think it was, it must have been episode 6, because that was the June episode, and I'm pretty sure at the end of that episode, Wayne got reunited with Sarah for a meantime, but I don't know where he was afterwards, because I'm pretty sure we didn't see him afterwards. Maybe in the finale we might have seen him, but again, I don't quite remember what happened with that. But she's looking for him in this episode, and I gotta say, some of those shots that we see with her outside and looking at the lack of destruction behind her, like all the greenery and trees and everything, kind of reminded me of season 3. Like, visually, the locations really reminded me of season 3. And for people who complain that all of the last, like, 3 episodes have been mainly on shitty looking sets, which I very fucking much I disagree with that. Because even if they are sets and they look like sets and feel like sets, they're still really well made, and I can buy it just for the sake of how much effort went into creating those sets. This is not the MCU with its bloated budget where they can do whatever the fuck they want because nobody questions the quality of the content that they're given, and they can make the most lifelike CGI set pieces. This is a TV show from, essentially one way to say it would be from an older era of TV, like from the early 2010s, back when TV wasn't as high budgeted as it is nowadays. If this was made by, I don't know, any of the streaming services, yes, probably would have a higher budget, because by nature, modern TV shows nowadays have become essentially just big budgeted movies rather than TV shows, which is something that I personally don't like. That is honestly a topic for a discussion for another video that I might be interested in doing. I'm interested in doing at some point in the future, but we'll see whether I will and when that's gonna happen. So personally, I am not bothered by the fact that the sets look like sets, feel like sets, and I still like them. I still like that fact. But in this episode we have much more outside shots, because the area where Sarah and the rest are is not affected by nukes, because the nuke that has fallen nearby actually didn't end up exploding, which is really cool in my opinion, because A, it explained why there's not much destruction, which I was wondering about. Why is there no destruction? How the hell did he manage to be in a location where there's not that much destruction from nukes? And it also gives us a little bit of a different consequence of the nukes, because yes, we have the nuclear fallout and everything, but it could, and it probably will get old relatively quickly, seeing only one type of consequence from the nukes, in the form of just like the fallout and everything being covered in fog and yellow colors and green colors and everything. So seeing a relatively normal looking locations but still being affected by radiations from a faulty nuke, it's just really cool to me. And apparently that one shot from the trailer, which I don't know if I focused on or talked about in my reaction to the trailer when I did it, but I was wondering what that was, and at the time I thought it was like some kind of like a head for a fish, and I don't think I mentioned that in that reaction, but that's what I thought it was, like that that nuke head or warhead or whatever you want to call it that we see in the back of a truck. I thought it was a fish head, but no, apparently it's a nuke, because we get shown that shot in this episode. So I'm curious, where do they plan to go with that storyline, but I do like that. In general, I really like the tone and the visuals of this episode because it reminded me a lot of season 3 of Fear. Like, I don't understand how people can complain. I just don't. I don't. Nothing has changed from last season to now. Why people enjoyed last season but they are not enjoying this season, I just don't get it. I don't. Last season, everybody loved the anthology format. Last season, everybody enjoyed the character development for the characters, the more similar tone to the OG 3 seasons, and yet everybody's complaining about it, or at least some kind of like silent, loud minority is complaining about it on the Fear the Walking Dead subreddit. I just don't get it. Like, to me, this season is the best possible version of Fear the Walking Dead that combines the OG seasons and the modern seasons in what we can call probably the best possible outcome of the reboot, where it's kind of an amalgamation of the two, and I really like it. Like, and for example, this episode felt very reminiscent of the early 3 seasons in its visual and its tone. I really like that about it. So, as Sarah is trying to communicate and get a connection with Gwen through walkie-talkies and radio, she manages to get a connection with Morgan, and she tells him that they've survived where they are, and Morgan tells her the same. And at the same time, just as she is about to leave the location where she is sending that through the radio, she sees a truck parked in the middle of nowhere. A park ranger truck. She goes to it, and inside of it, she obviously finds the head of Emile from the first episode of last season, like the guy with the awesome axe. And it obviously turns out that this truck belongs to Josiah, who is Emile's brother. And I gotta say, again, I really like Josiah in this episode. I love that they brought the actor back. At first you might think that it's dumb and it's kind of trying to pander to the fans and do something that the fans enjoyed, because the first episode of last season is the most popular episode of the last like 2, 3, 4 seasons. So I can definitely see how the showrunner would be like, okay, how can we bring back the actor again and kind of get more of that enjoyment from, give more of that enjoyment to the fans. And some could say that that is dumb because they're trying to both have their cake and eat it too, by bringing him back, and essentially even playing the brother of the previous character. But honestly, to me, he looks completely different, and his character is completely different from Emile's. So I actually think they actually nailed it. They managed to do it in a way where it just works. I really enjoyed Josiah in this episode, and I really hope we get to keep him around for a long time. I would love for him to become a main cast member, because he's a badass guy who I really enjoyed, and the actor is amazing as well. But yeah, we have a meet-up between Sarah and Josiah, who in their conversation they quickly find out that Sarah is a person who knows Morgan, because Josiah heard that talk between her and Morgan on the radio, and he quickly makes a deal with her that he is going to help her find her brother, when in exchange for her giving the location of Morgan. And it's really cool how the episode makes a parallel between Sarah and Gwen and Josiah and Emile. I mean, that's kind of the point of it and why they are paired up like this. I think actually it really works. It shows that the writers have planned this shit out and they don't just make it up as they go along. For me, necessarily, it doesn't work, like it doesn't necessarily entertain me, but again, that is because in general I just don't really care about Sarah's character too much. She's not that interesting to me. She's fine, she's perfectly fine, but it's just not that interesting to me compared to other characters. But it's a nice parallel throughout the episode that we have, and she quickly obviously agrees because she wants to find her brother. And again, it's really cool that Josiah, also just like Emilia, is an excellent tracker, and we actually get an explanation about why both of them are good at finding people, like why both of them are kind of like bounty hunters. Because before the apocalypse, they were both park rangers. I love that. I love that backstory about them. Like, that's how you fucking create a cool character. They were park rangers who were looking for people and who are lost. So it makes sense why they would be so good. And it explains why Rufus is also a good dog that can track people as well. And we get a really cool explanation later on about how at one point there was a forest fire where Josiah was stuck inside of the flames, and he was trusting that his brother was gonna come and find him, but he didn't. Instead, the dog Rufus ended up finding him, which of course leads up to a fucking tearjerker moment, but we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Let's not get ahead of ourselves before I forget some other cool things that happen in the episode. But in general, I just really liked Josiah's character. I really did. And from what I've seen from the trailer for episode 5, I think we might be getting him again in that episode. Like, I'll get the most I can from that character. I just can't wait to see more of him, you know? I really like him. So yeah, they have a deal that he's going to help Sarah find her brother in exchange for Morgan. So they let Rufus lead them to where Gwen is by giving him to smell a hat that was shown to us earlier in the episode, that was given to Sarah by the rest of the characters. And I was just a little bit annoyed by the fact that they just found a hat in the beginning, because they told Sarah that they were looking for Gwen, but I'm really curious, where the hell were they looking for him for them to find a hat? And it's not like Wendo's hat was like some kind of like a very iconic or obvious identificator, like for example Clementine from the game's hat, who is very distinct, and if you see it, you know it's Clementine. No, it's just a boring old grey bluish hat. So it literally couldn't be anybody's, but obviously it is his. And where the hell did they look for it for them to find it? Because again, last I remember, Gwen should be either at Lawton or at the hospital that June was running. And I don't even remember whether that was a thing that they set up as an outpost or whatever. I don't know. Like, those kind of things, Fear in the last 2 seasons really loves to overlook tiny details like that. It doesn't bother me, personally, as I'm watching the episodes, because I don't care about these little details as long as the story overall is entertaining. And honestly, those are some of the more boring bits that only consistency freaks and whatever word for people who really focus on the details is. But personally, it doesn't bother me because overall these stories are entertaining. But yeah, they give the dog the hat to smell, and it starts leading them, surprisingly. It leads them to one of the stalkers. I'm pretty sure, at least we are led to believe that it's one of the stalkers because he's dressed like them, he removes the clothes of walkers. I mean, it's very much the stalkers there. And I was expecting that we were going to learn a little more about the stalkers. I still don't understand what's their thing. Why are they doing anything that they're doing? And especially with them getting the nuke at the end, I don't understand what could they possibly do with it. But sure, we'll see. We'll find out, I guess, eventually. But yeah, Rufus leads them to him, and they question him a little bit about why he's doing what he's doing. And he leads them to some kind of a barn that is full with walkers, like quite a few pens even that are full with walkers. And they find a chair. Gwen's chair, at least we're led to believe. I don't know if it's the exact chair as his or not. Again, it's kind of dumb to expect, like, how could it possibly be his chair? It's not like you were anywhere near his location. At least I feel like it's not. Like, one thing I feel like Fear would really benefit from is kind of more obviously set up the locations of certain things, because throughout the whole episode, I felt like we weren't too far from the house where everybody was surviving in this episode. So how would it make sense for Wen to be anywhere nearby? Like, it's hella convenient that his hat, his I don't know what to call it. It's not bandana, but it's like that that kind of thing, and his chair being very nearby, and him to not be there. Like, come on, Fear. I can overlook a lot of shit like that, but come on. So yeah, Sarah recognizes that chair, and she starts to break down about the fact that he's dead, and even the guy confirms that there was some kind of a zombie sitting in the chair, which I feel like it pretty much solidifies that he should be dead, because why would otherwise there be a zombie inside a chair? Because it wouldn't make sense, unless that chair is not him, which to me is the more logical conclusion, but I don't think that's what the episode at the end ended up deciding that it was the case. And at that moment, I think it was, I'm not exactly sure what prompts it, whether it's Sarah starting to attack the stalker guy, or he just gets scared, but a lot of the walkers end up being let out. So Josiah and Sarah start killing them and trying to run after the stalker. And I forgot to mention that Josiah has actually a pretty cool, albeit a little convoluted weapon, which I'm not surprised that he does, because I mean, they would obviously try to do very similar aspects to what Emily's character was, because they're trying to kind of recapture a lot of the love for Emily's character with Josiah. So of course he would have a really cool weapon, but I feel like it's maybe a little bit so convoluted, because it's like a shovel that whose end kind of breaks off at an angle, and there's like a spear that points towards the other side, so you can both use it as a shovel when you put it together, and then otherwise you can use it as a spear with which to kill walkers, which I think it was cool, but I feel like that would probably get stuck more often than not, so I feel like it's maybe a little bit too convoluted for its own sake, but I still like it overall. I think it still works, and especially with his kind of like an, I don't know what to say, it is ideology, philosophy, where he ends up putting all the walkers that they end up end up meeting about in the ground, because he feels like they all deserve to be put in the ground. And we also got a little bit of a kind of a callback scene, which, I mean, I just love this shit. Like, that's one of the things that I really love about Fear Season 6 and 7, all the callbacks and references. We get a little bit of a, kind of like a reference to the main show's second season, with a scene where Josiah ends up cutting a walker open and looking through its guts to see whether that walker has eaten Wendell. And that's an obvious reference to the main show's second season, when Dario and Rick end up cutting a walker open to look for clues of whether Sophia was eaten by that walker. And that was just really cool references. There's quite a lot of these kind of references if you actually look for them. And I love it. I love it. I can't understand how somebody can say that this is bad when there's such attention to detail to reference it. Like, you should be able to enjoy just for the references alone, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really giddy about this kind of stuff. So yeah, they end up running after the stalker and are unable to catch him. Sarah manages to get back to the car and is contemplating, now that Wendell is dead, she doesn't want to give Morgan to Josiah, so she decides to kind of make a run for it and just escape with the car. But Josiah manages to get inside the car right on time, and they have a little bit of a fight in the car, with her trying to kick him out of the car and being unable to do so because he's a big guy, goddamn. And both of them end up falling off a cliff, like that one shot from the trailers that we've seen. And I thought it was actually really fucking cool that they ended up crashing, and they actually ended up crashing very close to where the nuke was. Like one of the nukes that ended up falling from Teddy's warhead that he shot out ended up being a dud and didn't explode, but it's still leaking radiation, which, as I said earlier, is just really cool that we get more than one type of consequence to the nukes falling on everybody. So they're very close to the nuke, about like 50 feet or something, did they say? So it's pretty dangerous to stay around, but they're kind of stuck in the car because the way they landed, I think it's like between rocks. So neither of them can really open the door. But as they're sitting in the car, they kind of have a little bit of a talk, and we get that backstory with Josiah being in trouble in a raging fire, and Rufus being the thing to save him. I'm pretty sure that's when he tells that backstory. So we kind of get a little bit of a moment there of learning about the humanity inside of Josiah, because he's just not a murderer like his brother, which is a point that Sarah actually makes in that episode. And we also get a little bit of a cool moment that, again, people have really made into a mountain when it's just a little bit of a molehill, because Josiah tries to make a point that because Emilio was his brother, they kind of had a connection in a way, like kind of like a superficial emotional connection. And he mentions that in that story of his where he was stuck in a raging fire and Rufus, the dog, managed to save him, Emilio wasn't worried about Josiah because he felt that his brother was alive and he was gonna come back. And Josiah mentions that he found out that his brother was dead by feeling or not feeling his heartbeat anymore, in a way, like not feeling that his brother was alive. So a lot of people on the subreddit, well, I say a lot, but some people on the subreddit have really started to complain about that, because it's a cheesy and superficial thing. Like, a lot of people seem to take Fear the Walking Dead at surface level. Like, how could you possibly take that like that? Do you really believe that Josiah means that there's an actual psychic connection between him and his brother where they feel each other's heartbeats? Like, no, he just means that he felt that his brother was dead, and it was true. Like, people sometimes have a feeling about this kind of stuff, and you can't really explain it, because whether it's just statistical luck or something else, it doesn't matter. It happens. Like, sometimes you can just feel it, you know? And he makes a comparison between Sarah and him, and how she also felt that way when she saw Wendell's chair being empty. She felt like she couldn't feel his pulse anymore, so she thought he was dead. And they kind of, I don't know what to say, like reconcile a little bit, and they get out of the car and start killing walkers. And then Morgan shows up, because they were, while they were sitting in the car, they were trying to call him for them to come and save them. And I'm not exactly sure whether at that point Josiah had decided that he wasn't gonna kill Morgan or not, because I feel like the episode was trying to lead us into that direction, that he was kind of deciding not to attack Morgan. But when Morgan shows up, we have actually a pretty decent of a fight between them. I thought the fight between Emilia and Morgan back last season was better, but I think it was still fine, the fight that we got in this episode between the two of them. And I really like the shock in Morgan's eyes when he sees Josiah and thinks, "I cut your head off." Like, because of course it's shocking, he looks exactly like his brother, but he's not his brother. So we have a little bit of a fight there, and Josiah takes Morgan down, and he says that he's not gonna be even the one to kill him, it's gonna be his brother. So he pulls out the head out of the box and puts it very close to Morgan's face. But he gets shoved away by Morgan, and Rufus runs towards the head and gets bitten, which I mean, fucking hell. It was bound to happen, but fuck me. Why? So he gets bitten. Sarah comes out of nowhere and destroys Emily's head. And Josiah instantly feels regretful about everything he did because now his best friend, the one who actually cared about him and saved him, his best friend Rufus, ends up getting bitten and ends up dying. I mean, that fucking broke my heart. It's not like I even had like that much of a connection towards that dog like I do for like Dog on the Main Show. But fuck me, man. That is... It just hurts. Like, no matter what, it just hurts. And it was bound to happen sooner or later, but god damn it. It hurt. And it pretty much confirms that at this point that dogs do, and animals in general, die from zombie bites. They don't turn, but they die. Although we didn't necessarily see the dog die from the bite, because the show kind of jumped over Josiah putting him down even, because we got a little bit of the emotional scene of him talking about the dog and how he is sorry for everything he did and everything his brother did, and that he's not gonna be going after Morgan anymore. And we get to see Josiah burying his dog and putting a can of beans on top of the grave, which in a previous scene where it was emotional around the fire scene, he says that he tried to give the dog beans because that is his favorite food, which I think has been established since last season, but whatever, it's a tiny detail. And it just fucking hurts to see that dog die. Like, we don't really get, I don't think we've necessarily gotten, like, the last time we've gotten this kind of death for, like, a pet was with Shiva. Like, a pet's death affecting a character. It was Shiva, which was Season 8, Episode 4, which at this point was, what, 2018? 2017? No, it must have been 2017, which is 4 years ago, so we were long overdue for something like this, I guess. But man, did it hurt. And I didn't even care particularly about that dog, goddammit. So at the end there, they decide to go to Strand's place because that's the most likely place where Wen would be if he's alive. Because throughout all these conversations that they've had, we've learned that Sarah doesn't feel that her brother is dead. She doesn't feel the lack of, like, she doesn't feel like she can feel his pulse. She still feels like he's alive. So they go to Strand's place, and he shows up, and we have an interaction between Morgan and Strand. It was pretty satisfying. I really liked the talk at the end there, and I guess it is confirmed that Wendell is there. Although we don't get to see him, and with the way Strand says it, I don't think we can really trust him that that Wendell is there. But I guess he is, and at the end of the episode, because Sarah has never been on Strand's side and almost always has been on Morgan's side, and obviously Josiah being completely nobody to Strand, none of them are allowed to get inside of the tower, which is Strand's place. But Strand at least promises to keep Wendell safe. And instead, Morgan decides to get everybody to the sub, I guess. We don't really see that happen in this episode, but that's what they go for, because that's the safest place they could be, because the location where Al, Daniel, Luciana, Wes, and Charlie were at obviously had the nuclear warhead that was leaking stuff, which is apparently more dangerous than the nuke exploding. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not a nuclear scientist, but if they said so, I buy it. So that's kind of my philosophy, honestly, with watching shows and movies and everything. If it's believable to me, and if they say it a certain way, if they say so, I buy it. Unless it's like completely unbelievable and maybe I know more about it. So I buy that. And at the end, also Sarah decides to give Josiah certain pills that will help him with radiation poisoning, because they were very close to the leaking warhead. So I thought in that scene that we were probably gonna get him to join Morgan and go back to the sub and everything, but we don't get that, but we get the possibility of that in the future. And as I said, I think I see Josiah in the trailer for the episode 5, which I am really excited for because it's going to be an episode focusing on Dwight and Sherry. Dwight is probably my favorite character on this show, so I'm really excited for that episode and how good it is going to be. But if we get Josiah as well, might be my favorite episode so far, because so far I think the best episode of the season has been episode 1, then episode 2, episode 3. I mean, I guess they've been kind of going down. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, the quality is going down or anything, but so far they are kind of like in this order, you know? Or maybe it would be one, but no, I liked a lot. I mean, it's hard to really judge these episodes because there's a lot of aspects that I like from the episodes of 2, 3, and 4, but episode 1 was the only one where I really enjoyed with almost no issues with it, you know? I loved all the aspects of it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it to the end of the season for when I'm going to rate those episodes. But yeah, this was a really fucking entertaining episode in my eyes. I really liked it. In terms of a rating for this episode, I think I'm going to give it an 8.4 out of 10. In terms of ratings for this episode, I'm going to give it an 8.1 out of 10. Again, I liked a lot about it. I liked Josiah. I liked Rufus's death because it was an emotional gut punch. I liked that we got to learn a little bit more about the stalkers, but I wasn't particularly interested in learning more about Sarah, and even after the episode, I didn't really care about her that much more, so yeah, I don't know. It was fine, but I can definitely see it be done better, but it was fine. Like, at the end of the day, it was fine. So yeah, what did you guys think about this episode? Comment down below and let's have a discussion about it. And yeah, before we end this video though, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 2 patrons on Patreon, Omari Bridgman and Deadpool. Thank you guys for subscribing to my Patreon and supporting me. It really means a lot. I hope you continue to do that in the future. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me, that being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair. I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything. And that just kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job, because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot. And I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you don't enjoy my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon, where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!